Welcome back to YIIK. We're still doing side quests. God damn this game for all the content they put in there.
Well, I mean, in this regard, I feel like we can almost appreciate some of its more RPG-esque tendencies. They seem, again, incomplete at times, but...
They're there, you know. I'm happy there's something to do, even if all I get at the end is a little box that pops up that says, oh, hey, you just got 100 XP.
They're indicative of effort, is what I was trying to get at, and
yeah,
that sensation is just... it's droplets of water in the desert around here.
I would prefer to have it than to not have it. I was highlighting a couple of quests that we're going to be trying to take a look at. The Starmen have been showing up in unexpected places, and Alex, being the super sleuth he is, we're going to go put a stop to that.
I want to say that the Starmen is also the name of an Earthbound-inspired jazz band, so take that how you will.
I would like to say that there is at least one band called the Starmen, but I don't know if they're jazz specifically. Also, I was really confused here for a minute. I thought the bus was still there because I kept hearing the sound.
Same. Lovely that we get audio glitches at this point.
I don't think this is a glitch. I think that's just how it is. Like, they just sort of forgot to cut the bus sound off. So the first one is going to be in Windtown. Do you notice that glowing square over on the left?
Not really, because I'm kind of distracted by the blocks of snow forming on that tree in the background.
Oh yeah, they went very, like, vintage Minecraft here. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a rendering mistake or something else.
I feel like it's a corner being cut on having to remove all the foliage from the trees.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if we put snow in there, heavens, can you imagine how much graphical processing power it would take to do that?
I mean, they may be pixel art games, but, you know, the Harvest Moon likes, and Stardew Valley knows that you don't have foliage on the trees anymore when winter hits.
I was kind of worried at first. I thought I was having some trouble actually proccing the fight. This perspective, it never gets any better.
I'll leave it to this game to screw up hitbox finding on basic enemy encounters.
Oh, I don't think they screwed it up. I just think the low camera angle makes it very difficult to actually tell where the Starman is.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how well I did at that LP toss. I still can't hit the Starman, so let's see what the Essentia can do, question mark? They actually cropped this up several times, which I thought was kind of... Yeah, so...
Multi-hit attacks make it trigger several times that its defenses are active. Oh, wow. Well, I also shouldn't be too churlish about hitbox dissonance because, I mean, Monster Hunter does that, and I love those games.
Oh, yeah. Dark Souls is also generally pretty fair as far as things along those lines go, but there are a few bosses in particular that have very weird hitboxes. Anyway, I was really confused for a minute because I thought the Essentia, like, her opening cutscene had her, like, totally chumping a couple soul survivors, right?
Correct.
And I was able to use that same move in order to hit them.
I mean, consistency seems like asking for far too much right now.
The approach of New Year, my life went on without change. Day would dawn and I would repeat my alternation.
I was really confused about that. Also, I wasn't expecting this cutscene.
December's uncharacteristically warm.
Again, I feel like even good games attempting something like this, like Persona, do this as well, where unfortunately your route and schedule for side questing is just sporadically interrupted by, oh hey, today's cutscene day instead.
I worked at concentrating my attention on the real and useful. Even with all my friends with me, Every now and then I would feel a violent stab of loneliness. The very water I drank, the very air I breathed, would feel like long, sharp needles.
I'm not sure if this is actually something he's literally feeling as reality is breaking apart, or if this is just Alex being Alex.
Christmas was coming, and then, in a few days, the world might end.
I mean,
Could I
it seems to me that the subject of his obsession is just kind of constantly shifting from one thing to the next. First it's Sammy, then it's the truth of what his ability to destroy the world might mean, and now it's just these sensations that the world is collapsing that, you know, Michael has apparently also discovered and backed up, but again, things feel like they haven't quite been established. We're just being told them one after the other.
Well, it would make too much sense for the game to tell us how exactly Alex is going to cause the end of days, even though a bunch of people have totally seen it and have no reason not to tell Alex how that works and all that, right?
Right.
They have to keep him in the dark for reasons that make no sense in character, but make sense to some degree out of character because they want to keep the mystery and suspense going.
The only justification I can conceive of is that, as by Essentia and Michael's admissions, they don't really know the mechanics of it as such. They can't really give them useful information in terms of how it's to be prevented.
Well, that's true of Michael, maybe, but the Essentia, that's absolutely not true. The Essentia has been deliberately withholding information from Alex because, I mean, how dare she give the guy she would, you know, fight a losing battle for any chance of actually winning the battle they're losing?
Well, I can't really speak to the particulars of that, but I can certainly observe the fact that we're fighting beginning of game enemies at beginning of game levels at this point, so...
Oh yeah, and we've leveled up since then.
To say nothing of the fact that LP Toss will obliterate them one way or another.
926 damage. 9 damage. I mean, what's the difference in the grand scheme of things, right?
The only difference is, I suppose, me still feeling slightly discomfited by the sound of the smile enemies dying, making a breathing noise that kind of reminds me of my own.
I actually looked around for a while for where the enemy is. They said there was a soul survivor in the factory.
Well, I guess Michael's gone unenlightened again.
Oh, yeah. And your favorite song is back. It's this one. This is the one we're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
We still can't do anything until we have Bella banish him, so let's just get to the turns of people who matter in this fight, I guess.
Well, it is worth verifying if the Soul Survivor's damage reduction still applies on Essentia's attack, and it turns out that it doesn't.
No, not here.
The only assumption I could make is that it's the skills specifically that don't work, that it needs to be the basic attack that's being used to deal the damage.
That's the impression that I'm getting from this, but again, when we did the Essentia's intro cutscene, I did specifically use her skills. So I don't know what to think of that. Anyway, thanks, Bella. I like how it just starts the song over again.
Yeah. Also, I wonder how he tells
man.
it's getting late in the strange basement hell dimension.
Well, it's not him. It's, you know, the plot telling him. You're getting very tired for some reason. You should go home.
I can only imagine it's Panda who's keeping tabs on this Morgana style.
Let's go ahead and knock out a few more of these side quests. I'm not going to be bothered to read all of this. Frankton Reservoir. When we went to that windy field first, the one with the windmills and all that stuff, that's where I thought this actually was. I came across it in another video, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. I guess I knocked out another side quest? Question mark?
Conceivably.
One thing you may also be noticing here is that, remember how we were talking before about how you could use the icons to determine whether or not you'd actually finished a quest?
Right.
Well, I'm dumb, because apparently that's exactly what they did. If you go back and look, you can see that threads that are red, or quests that are threads that have been completed, have little green check marks. The ones that are quests but are in progress are the ones that are, well, they have the little hot icon on there.
Right.
It really kind of makes it weird because you can't tell whether or not something has actually been read versus whether it's specifically a quest that has been completed. And in the browser, there's also like a little bookmark favorite type thing in the top bar that says quest logs, and I don't know how to get to it. I literally have not been able to figure out how to use it.
Just more examples of amazing game design.
So I realize that this thing is the Frankton Reservoir. This is actually the same one that we found the van in earlier. You know, where our quote-unquote friends pushed us into the water.
Yeah. Though, again, I kind of understand why under the circumstances being Alex.
That wouldn't have turned out so well for them if it turned out Alex couldn't swim, though, huh?
Well, I think we also noted that for a reservoir, that water is maybe knee-deep.
I don't know that I've ever been to a reservoir. Are they typically more deep?
I mean, I think they should be if the assumption is that they're actually a reserve of water.
I think the aliens have very little defense, because we just broke 2,000 damage.
As you would.
And a stolen wallet with $750 that don't mean anything.
Oh, well. We,
750 YIIK fun bucks.
We any closer to an ultimate weapon, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I assume at this point, since we pretty much gathered all the major sources of revenue in the world,
Yeah.
If there's one we can buy somewhere, then we could probably afford it. But gosh, I don't want to spend more time than is necessary crawling around in the shops looking for the one out of the half dozen or so in the game.
Yeah, plus watch something like Alex's ultimate weapon is one that actually decreases his attack power.
Oh yeah, no, we can't have that. Or one that increases his hit points. Can't have that either. We're actually at a point now where Alex's HP has more contributing to it from his gear than from his actual stats. So he's at like 35 hit points right now, and he still only has 10 hit points. I haven't gotten rid of that bit.
Well done sticking to the build. We'll see if it serves us well in the coming apocalypse.
Well, this turtle apocalypse, there was a bit about there being some rambunctious tortoises. And they're in Windtown, which is, I mean, okay, I guess. I think Windtown is still a cool location. I'd love to come out here for more reasons than just doing silly side quests.
Oh yeah.
There weren't monsters, though, the last time we were here, remember?
There absolutely were not.
So, what I figured out, actually, from this and the episode I've recorded in the future, it seems like the various things that can happen in the game are actually triggered by you reading the thread on Onism. So, before you read that thread about the strange surplus of tortoises, there are no surplus tortoises in Windtown. which I guess sort of makes sense, but it's also kind of weird. Because if you just see a thread, for example, with the title Strange Surplus of Tortoises in Windtown, I don't think this one actually said Windtown specifically, but you could just not open the thread and think, oh, I know what I need to do, and then oops, the quest flag doesn't happen.
Yeah. Again, even decent games have this issue with just event flags being the inciting incident for whatever you're supposed to be doing side quest wise, but at the same time, I mean, I kind of understand wanting to gate those behind actually going onto Onism, because in one respect, it's part of what actually justifies Onism's existence beyond just being part of the plot, and much more of the Allinson's writing than either of us could tolerate.
Yeah, I was very confused about this quest in particular because it said tortoises, and somebody had mentioned something about someone dumping toxic sludge in the sewers. I was like, oh goody, I guess we get to do the sewer level again. We do not do the sewer level again. The tortoises that were affected by the toxic sludge being dumped in the sewer are the random monsters that we've been fighting that are not in the sewer.
If there's one thing this game is doing right at this juncture, it's not making us do a sewer level a second time.
Oh, well, you say that now.
Oh. I'm watching the little ticker in my brain go down. This game is now about 6% of a good idea.
That's a teaser for the next episode. Enjoy that, Nugget. And I saw this pool full of water that was vibrating strangely, and I'm like, that looks suspiciously like a giant turtle might be living in there or something, right?
Yes, it does.
There's not.
I was wondering why it's got these great black concentric circles of, I don't know, balsamic vinegar floating around in there.
LP? Right in the manhole! Ow! Shot!
I will say this game does continue to fill me with wonder in a very displeasing way, I guess.
I was really psyched when I saw there was something I could interact with, and then it was just these random people sitting on the bench. I was like, come on, get out of the way.
I mean, it's been about 20 episodes now, but we've gotten to remember those two fondly for their jokes about capitalism and looking for spare change.
I do remember us giggling about that, I think.
I have a slightly terrifying thought, Diacorn. What if someday we look back fondly on this experience?
Because games in the future are just that bad?
Yeah. Or just a sign that the dementia's finally set in.
I want to get out of that timeline. I want to get off Mr. Bones' wild ride.
This game has filled me with existential dread that I do not believe for a moment was even intended.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm not really feeling too hot about what's to come. I'm doing everything in my power to prevent this game from being the example by which future games are made.
Well, buddy, I'll be there right with you as Oblivion continues to set in.
As we stare into the abyss. Yeah, there wasn't a lot for me to do today except go do some level ups. I'm not gonna expose you all to that.
That's fair. It's only...
I will expose you to me not getting to the phone again.
Well, there's only about 16 more days till Doomsday. See you guys around.